KSL News at 4 starts now.
Thanks so much for joining us. Utah lawmakers planning to meet in a special session this week, and some aren't happy about that. That's because it falls on Juneteenth, at least the federal observance of the holiday.
Well, in Utah, we're celebrating today. News specialist Lindsay Ayers spoke with their branch president. And Lindsay, why does Utah celebrate the holiday on a Monday?
Well, yeah, Debbie and Ashley, the Salt Lake branch of the NAACP president, Janetta Williams, tells me that it was, in part, a legislative compromise back when this bill was being debated in 2022. Some wanted it on a Monday. Others wanted it on the 19th. Ultimately, we decided to hold it on a Monday. There are two other state and federal holidays that happen in the summer. July 4th, obviously, and then Pioneer Day, our state holiday. Putting it on a Monday, the least disruptive option in some people's minds. Now, in state law, again, Juneteenth is on the Monday before if the 19th falls on any other weekday. And we celebrate on the Monday after if the 19th is on a weekend. Now, Governor Cox has called lawmakers into this special session on Wednesday. Juneteenth will still be recognized federally, so banks will be closed, so will the post office and federal buildings. Now, the president of the Salt Lake branch of the NAACP, Janetta Williams, argues that the governor has had 4 months since the end of this year's legislative session to call lawmakers back in.
All of a sudden, the special session is being called just days before the primary election. And to me and to a lot of other people, it's saying that, why call it now? What's so important that you have to call a special session on Juneteenth?
Now, Governor Cox's office defending the day, saying that, quote, Wednesday is the regularly scheduled legislative interim session before legislators take July off, and it's the only time we could schedule a special session because of the legislative calendar. Now, as for what lawmakers will discuss in that special session, there are 6 items on the call, everything from dealing with a coal-fired power plant, trying to keep that operational, to some public lands issues, and possibly usurping some federal protections for transgender youth. I'll have more details on that coming up at 5 o'clock tonight. For now, reporting live, I'm Lindsay Ayers. I'll send it back to you.
Lindsay, thanks. We'll see you at 5. Speaking of Juneteenth, the U.S. Postal Service.
Here in Utah, we celebrate Juneteenth today, but federally, it's celebrated on Wednesdays. That's the same day Governor Cox has called lawmakers into a special session, and some are not happy about it.
Legislators for that report. We'll catch up at 6:30. Well, lawmakers will be gathering in a special session on Wednesday, but not everyone is happy about it being scheduled on the Juneteenth holiday. In Utah, however, the state is recognizing the holiday today. News specialist Lindsay Ayers joins us live now. And Lindsay, why does Utah celebrate this today instead of Wednesday?
Well, Debbie, 2 years ago when we were passing this bill, this was all part of a legislative compromise. There were some who wanted it a Monday holiday, others who wanted it to be on the 19th. We already have 2 summer holidays where the midweek perhaps is a little bit disrupted, a midweek holiday with the 4th of July and the 24th of July. Now, lawmakers will be in special session, as you mentioned, this Wednesday. Juneteenth is still recognized as a federal holiday that day, so banks will be closed, so will the post office and federal buildings. Now, the president of the Salt Lake branch of the NAACP, Janetta Williams, argues the special session date is political. She says that the governor has had 4 months since the end of this year's legislative session to call lawmakers back in, but waited until a few days before the election.
To us, it feels like a slap in the face. That it doesn't matter that it's Juneteenth, that it doesn't matter about emancipation, that the diversity in the community doesn't matter.
Now, Governor Cox's office defended the day, saying Wednesday is the regularly scheduled legislative interim session before legislators take July off, and it's the only time, quote, we could schedule a special session because of the legislative calendar. Now, lawmakers will be taking up 6 items, everything from keeping a coal power plant operational to an effort to block federal Title IX protections for trans youth and pushing back on what they believe is federal overreach on public lands. Now, I'll also add that historically, guys, the lawmakers meet in interim sessions on the 3rd Wednesday in June, so this is a typical day for them to meet. And some also argue that saves taxpayers money because lawmakers are already gathered here. Reporting live, I'm Lindsay Ayers. I'll send it back to you.
Lindsay, thank you. Well, happening tomorrow at the Law and Justice, right from your phone.
It was an emotional welcome home for a 9-year-old boy just released from the hospital. He was hit by a car and in a medically induced coma at one point. But tonight, friends, neighbors, and complete strangers were in Huntsville to greet him. His specialist Andrew Adams was there for all of it, and he joins us live now. Andrew, what a sight that must have been.
Well, it really was. People from all over the Ogden Valley as well as Morgan showed up to this neighborhood. Trayden Vendella's story has resonated with a lot of folks, and tonight they wanted to show their love and support.
Thanks for coming, guys.
With a large crowd lining the street.
Hey, let's use both sides of the road, too.
It looked like a hero's welcome.
It's a miracle what happened, so.
And it may well have been for how much 9-year-old Trayden Vendella's story inspired the town.
Luckily, he had a helmet on, so if it wasn't for that, I mean, it could have been way worse.
It was just weeks ago that an ugly crash happened here, blocks from the boy's house.
Trayden was out riding his bike and unfortunately was struck by a car. He's been in primary children's for several weeks now, and today he finally got the notification they could come home.
The homecoming brought friends and complete strangers from neighboring cities.
So, sorry, this community is super tight-knit, and we wanted to support the family, support Trayden, and everything they've been through.
As the family car arrived with Trayden, the cheers were deafening. And only seconds into the driveway,
Hey, welcome home, bro.
Thank you.
the boy and his mom were simply in disbelief over the journey to this moment.
If you would have told me that we would be home in 20 days and he's able to walk and do a lot of things he's doing, I would have called you crazy.
It wasn't crazy. It was just the Ogden Valley.
Oh, this is awesome. Completely awesome.
Come to show its love for a boy who fought through it all.
I do believe that it's all the people behind us and the power of prayer. And God healed him.
Well, Mom says Trayden still gets fatigued really easily, and he is sorting through some issues. She believes he has a bit of a road in front of him, but ultimately, she thinks he will get back to his old self eventually. Back to you.
And you could see just how much it meant to him and his family especially. Great story there. Andrew, thank you. All right, Utah schools are going to be facing some new security restrictions. Lawmakers will be gathering in a special session on Wednesday to take up a number of issues, including those related to public lands as well as Title IX. But the timing of that session coincides with the federal holiday of Juneteenth, the day commemorating the end of slavery.
To us, it feels like a slap in the face. That why that it doesn't matter that it's Juneteenth, that it doesn't matter about emancipation, that the diversity in the community doesn't matter.
Utah recognizes Juneteenth on Mondays, so it was technically observed by the state today. Governor Cox says this Wednesday is the only day the legislative calendar would allow for a special session.
Happening tomorrow.